and welcome to Left, Right and Centre. How does a business baron who owes banks thousands of crores of rupees get to leave the country even though he's a defaulter? In spite of court proceedings underway, a consortium of 17 banks asking for Vijay Mallya's passport to be impounded and former Kingfisher employees demanding their salaries pending for months. The Attorney General told the Supreme Court today that Vijay Mallya has left the country. Mallya is a British resident. His address on loan documents is listed as a villa in Dubai. The court also asked how Mallya was sanctioned such large loans in the first place without anything but the brand as collateral, and even though he hadn't paid up, an inquiry is being conducted against him while banks had continued to disburse loans to him. Was there any collusion between bank officials and Vijay Mallya? Also on the show is the Maharashtra government acting like moral police. Now, in spite of a Supreme Court order to the state to grant dance bars licenses by the 15th of March, the Maharashtra government is determined to enforce a ban through a new bill. Its political predecessors, the NCP and the Congress, have repeatedly banned these bars as well, but the ban has always failed legal tests. So what now? But first, of course, on to Vijay Mallya, who owes 17 banks 9,000 crore rupees. Now, a 900 crore loan from the state-run IDBI Bank in 2009 is the subject of a detailed letter from the CBI as well that NDTV has now accessed the details of. It suggests blatant collusion between bank officials and Mallya. Now, Vijay Mallya is apparently, as we said, no longer even in the country. He is a British resident, so it remains to be seen what the legal procedure is going to be from now.
It's now official. Vijay Mallya has left the country. The Attorney General told the Supreme Court that according to the CBI, Mallya may have left a week ago. The court has sent a notice to Mallya asking why his passport should not be seized.
I hope he will come back to India. Good sense should prevail. It is in everybody's interest कि आपस में बैठ के इसको मुद्दे को resolve किया जाए.
CBI knows his movement as they are on the trail of a whopping 950 crore loan given to Kingfisher by the IDBI Bank, which is a state-run bank. And this is a transaction which the investigative agency has held as a criminal conspiracy.
NDTV has exclusively accessed this detailed 14-page CBI FIR, which was registered in one particular case between Vijay Mallya and IDBI Bank, a 900 crore loan that was sanctioned in 2009 when Kingfisher was in dire straits, to find that there are serious charges that have been made of criminal conspiracy, of breach of trust, and so on.
This 14-page FIR mentions how the loan was cleared after repeated letters from the Kingfisher CFO referring to meetings between the IDBI CMD and Vijay Mallya. Cleared in 1 month, despite an internal memorandum of the bank which highlights how Kingfisher Airlines had negative financial net worth and very poor ratings. Auditors of the company had pointed out how 111 crores of tax money had not been paid for over 6 months. But the loan was grossly misused. CBI's probe found out that around 15 crores was used up for debt servicing, 200 crores for repaying another loan, and a major chunk of the loan money was sent abroad to pay for lease rentals and aircraft parts. IDBI Bank says they have cooperated with the CBI investigation.
Meanwhile, here in the Supreme Court, the Attorney General appearing for the bank said they're not after anyone's blood. But the court also questioned the bank, saying why they continued to lend him money even though they had managed only to recover less than 1/10 of what they had lent.
Bafflingly, Mallya's address in the FIR is shown as being in a villa in Dubai, backing claims made in court about his undeclared overseas assets. In a statement issued to NDTV, Vijay Mallya says that so far none of the inquiries have been able to prove any sort of misappropriation of funds by him or by Kingfisher Airlines. But now the CBI says that they're not just probing the IDBI bank loan, but the entire 9,000 crore worth bank loans which have been sanctioned to Vijay Mallya and his companies, spelling more trouble for the liquor baron. With Ketki Angre and Srinivasan Jain in New Delhi, Tanima Biswas for NDTV.
Well, Vijay Mallya is also a Rajya Sabha MP, an independent Rajya Sabha MP. His parliamentary colleagues are extremely displeased with the way things have turned out. Here are some reactions my colleague Rahul Srivastav got.
Mr. Mallya is in talks how he deducted taxes, did not pay taxes, banks have gone to the court against him. A member of parliament, as an MP, do you think he is doing a lot to the image of members of parliament?
He's a businessman and he has looted the country than bank. This is nothing to do with what as an MP. And we, the finance committee, when we discussed and debated this NPS or willful default, at that time in our report we have mentioned that stringent action should be initiated against anybody who do such type of cheating.
It is a huge default, I should say willful default, but what is the response of the government? It is for the Home Minister to respond, it is for the Finance Minister to respond.
That they should tell where Mr. Mallya is and what is the status of the money he owes to the public?
They should tell the Parliament, they should tell the people, because they are in power.
Right. Well, to talk more about how Vijay Mallya has been allowed to leave the country, we're hoping to be joined by the banker and BJP spokesperson P.N. Vijay with us. But we have with us from Mumbai, Captain N.R. Wadia, who's the former president of the Federation of Indian Pilots. In the studio, senior financial journalist and founding editor of The Wire, M.K. Venu, with us in the studio. We're also hoping to be joined by a former employee of Kingfisher, Rajni Jain, in the course of this bulletin. But Mr. Wadia, let me actually open by asking you, as a pilot, as somebody who's been involved with the aviation sector for a long time, what do you make of the controversy around Kingfisher Airlines and this kind of loan defaulting around a brand, the brand being used as collateral when there was no money to pay up the banks?
I'll answer that in two parts. First of all, as an aviator, I knew, and I've come on your TV channels and stated so about 2 to 3 years back, that the business model of this airline was totally wrong and they would never make profit. From a PR angle, to do publicity, it was a very good project, but from the business angle, it was never going to make profit from the day one. As far as Vijay Mallya and the money is concerned, my take is very clear. It is not a matter of his returning the money only. This is a huge scam with so many agencies involved, whether the tax authorities, the banks, and the people who have supported him throughout. First tell me, isn't it a criminal offense that when a person collects your tax from the employees or even from the passengers and does not deposit it in the government treasuries, isn't it a criminal offense? Why has no action been taken yet, till today? Why has no action been taken for so many years? Shouldn't there be an inquiry into this itself?
Right. M.K. Venu, let me bring you in on this as well, because, you know, on the one hand, they're saying what Captain Wadia is saying, that it's just the business model was bad from the get-go. That's one side of the story. The other side of the story is here you have a business baron who owes 17 banks 9,000 crore rupees. They've gone to the Supreme Court. They've asked for his passport to be impounded. There are CBI inquiries against some of his assets and his financial dealings. And here he is. We have the Attorney General today saying that he's out of the country. He's left the country. How was he allowed to leave the country? You have a Greenpeace activist who was stopped at every airport in the country, but a Vijay Mallya who owes 9,000 crores is gone.
Yeah, it kind of surprises me because this was happening for a while. He was a willful defaulter. CBI was looking at these big defaulters among big corporates. The enforcement was looking at him. All the banks together, last month they went to the Debt Recovery Tribunal and they asked for his passport to be seized. They asked for his arrest because they feared that he would leave the country and take away all his personal, most of his personal assets, by the way, are abroad. He has very little here. So the banks actually anticipated that, and therefore they even asked for $75 million that he got by selling his stake to Diageo some time ago to be withheld. But even a part of that money got transferred to the UK. I don't know how all this happened, especially when all the investigative agencies were indeed looking at his activities. And as you said, you could stop a Greenpeace activist, there could be an alert in the airport, but how did he leave? The Attorney General told the Supreme Court today that on the 2nd of March he seems to have left. He took a Jet Airways flight. And, he didn't give those details, but I've learned that he took a flight and he had a large number of baggage, pieces of some 11 baggage items he had. Obviously, he was fully prepared to leave and stay abroad. And and I don't know how the Indian authorities will get him back, because the Supreme Court today told the Attorney General. So what is left for us to do? This man is gone. So the Attorney General has sought an order from the Supreme Court for him to be produced. But now you'll have to go through the entire rigmarole of whether we have an extradition treaty, if they want to invoke some criminal case against him, if the Indian authorities. And then you'll get into I suspect you'll get into a bit of a Lalit Modi kind of situation, where the UK authorities may say, please show us evidence, and he may end up invoking some human rights, some sort of immunity on grounds of human rights, that he's being victimized, which he said here also. Vijay Mallya, in fact, made a statement here that there are other big groups who owe bigger money. Why am I being targeted? So this whole thing is getting complicated, and well, he is a willful defaulter, and he needs to be booked. He needs to be made an example of. But he's out of the country. So I don't know what the finance minister or what the investigation agencies will do hereafter.
Okay, Captain Wadia, you're hearing the parallels that MK Venu is drawing with certain other cases as well. So when it comes to one aspect that you pointed out is the image of the aviation sector as it stands in India, and how Vijay Mallya with Kingfisher Airlines had fashioned himself, as the Richard Branson perhaps of India. Richard Branson himself, in fact, in an interview once told a colleague of mine that it's okay for him to live the kind of lifestyle he does in the West, but for Vijay Mallya to do it in India was slightly problematic. So here you have a business baron who has chosen to put his own personal lifestyle really above that of every business ethic perhaps that exists.
Sure, all the rules have been broken here in any case. Apart from his leading, see, he's entitled to live his own lifestyle. That is not the issue. We are only talking of criminal offences. And the way I pointed out, if there are offences which are already committed, it shows our whole country in bad light. How is it that when so many offences have been committed and no action has been taken yet, why have you waited for so many years? If the money has not been deposited in the treasury for the last 4 years or so, who is responsible? Why has no action been taken on that basis? And when people say it'll take due process of law, I am saying there is no law and there is no due process. Because if there was due process, action should have happened many, many years back, not at the last moment, as when a person has been allowed. I won't say he has fled, he's been allowed to flee the country. And a lot of agencies need to answer those questions, not just Vijay Mallya himself.
Right. Venu, you made the parallel between Lalit Modi, for example. We've seen Parliament come to a standstill in the previous session over Lalit Modi's leaving and now residing rather happily in Montenegro as things stand. But, you're basically saying that we might see a similar situation unfold. Mukul Rohtagi has said in the court that there is no witch hunt against Vijay Mallya. They want him to come back and have a conversation across a table
get the money back,
and get the money back. But it's a large sum of money for him to just pull out of a hat and return.
No, it's not as simple as the Attorney General is making out to be in the Supreme Court, because Vijay Mallya knows that he's being pursued on other counts. Enforcement Directorate has charged him with taking money out of the country. He had received some money from IDBI, another financial institution, and there is a charge that he has taken part of the money which was supposed to have been paid to the employees or for the purpose of revival of Kingfisher. That money has been taken out of the country. So how will now the Enforcement Directorate will have to, with a full case, with a charge sheet, and until a full charge sheet is prepared and a credible charge sheet is made out, which so far hasn't happened in the case of Lalit Modi. And as you know, he's been cocking a snook at the government openly. He's been in 6 months or whatever, some time ago, he was sending tweets saying that that I challenge any Indian authority to come and proceed against me or get me back into India for a trial or something. So I don't know how this will pan out, because I don't know what sort of extradition, what sort of treaty do we have with the UK.
Right.
I don't know how. I really sort of, one has to go into the details of how things will sort of pan out from
here.
yeah, unfold
okay.
from here.
We have the PN Vijay of the BJP, a banker and a spokesperson of the party, joining us now from his residence. Mr. Vijay, one of the charges that's been made is that Vijay Mallya should not have been allowed to leave the country. The fact that he has left points to some collusion somewhere. I mean, the government, the immigration authorities, no matter which part of the country, can stop a citizen from leaving if there is such an order. Did one not expect that Vijay Mallya was actually going to just pick up his bags and run? 11 bags of checked-in luggage.
Well, there must be a case and a restraint on his moving. I mean, how can we just, there is not even a case filed, a criminal case filed against him so far. The Enforcement Directorate has the power, but Enforcement Directorate is still very far away, because we need, I think in this case what's happened is that not only in Vijay Mallya's case, but in other willful defaulters, the banks have been extremely slow. Right from 2012, the whole world knew that Kingfisher was a basket case. I don't know why the banks couldn't have moved faster, because I personally feel that he should not have left, and I really doubt whether he'll come back. But on the other hand, there are certain personal liberties. Unless we, restraining a person from leaving a country is not an easy thing. You must have some court process before that, which was obviously not there.